As of now, the Russian government appears to be disbanding the Wagner mercenary force. The Defense Ministry says it will claim the group's heavy weapons and military hardware. So what is the Wagner mercenary group and how big is it? Wagner Group was first identified in 2014, when it started backing pro-Russian separatist forces in eastern Ukraine. In the same year, it also helped Russia annex Crimea. Wagner had about 5,000 fighters, mostly veterans of Russia's elite regiments and special forces. However, its numbers have grown considerably since the war in Ukraine. The group now claims to have 25,000 troops. Although mercenary forces are technically illegal in Russia, Wagner registered as a company in 2022, and over the years, the group has become the de facto private army of Russian President Vladimir Putin. The man who heads the group is Yevgeny Prigozhin, also known as President Putin's chef. In fact, Prigozhin spent more than a decade catering for high-profile official events. Photos show him serving Prince Charles and George Bush, among others. Prigozhin's Wagner mercenary group gave Putin a tool for more active military intervention and some degree of plausible deniability. The Wagner Group has expanded its presence around the world. Since 2015, the group has been in Syria, fighting alongside pro-government forces and guarding oil fields. It also fought in Libya, supporting forces loyal to General Khalifa Haftar. But it is in sub-Saharan Africa that the Wagner Group has been most active. The Central African Republic has invited it to guard diamond mines, and the government of Mali in West Africa is using the group against Islamic militant groups.
The Wagner Group is a private military company by definition. It has been very active in Africa. It has been under contract with a series of African states, Mali among them, providing security and fighting terrorists who were threatening the local governments. It has been a profitable business for Wagner, and they were, as private military companies do in our day of hybrid warfare, they were defending the local governments and making a lot of money out of it.
Even though the Wagner Group has been present in a few other places across the globe, it is in Russia that it expanded significantly during the Ukraine invasion in 2022. Prigozhin and his group were at the heart of Russian operations, but the latest armed insurrection by the Wagner Group is the tumultuous culmination of a decade-long relationship between two of Russia's most powerful men, Vladimir Putin and Yevgeny Prigozhin. By launching an ill-prepared invasion of Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin fell into his own trap. Tensions over accumulated losses and military setbacks in Ukraine fueled the rise of Putin's longtime protege, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and his Wagner military group. The war that was meant to achieve regime change in Ukraine now threatens the very regime of the Russian Federation, creating the biggest threat to Putin's rule, shattering the appearance of stability that Putin worked for years to create. Will Putin and Russia come out of this crisis weaker or stronger?
I don't think so that Putin is the loser. Let me formulate it like this. If Putin is winning, the Russian people will lose. But if Putin loses, the entire world is in danger, because it is somehow a situation now that Putin is getting much more stronger than ever before, I think. So from the perspective that Russia is now having Vladimir Putin as the one who has not only nuclear weapons, but also, of course, money.
Полный полностью был взят Бахмут.
In the month of May this year, Wagner Group seized the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. However, it was during the onslaught that Prigozhin broke the taboos of Putin's tightly controlled political system by defiance of Moscow's top brass. In particular, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Chief of the General Staff Valery Gerasimov
Нести без боеприпасов потери в Бахмуте.
over the past few months, Prigozhin has criticized Russia's military leadership for not caring about his troops and using them as cannon fodder.
Go back about 3 months ago, when there was an open dispute, and it was in all of the Russian internet resources between Mr. Prigozhin and his targets for complaints, the Minister of Defense and the head of the army. The reason was, the immediate reason was that he was complaining he was not receiving sufficient ammunition, sufficient artillery shells to carry out the high intensive warfare that he was doing in Bakhmut.
While Putin is forced to watch his back, many analysts believe that the Russian turmoil will give Ukraine an opportunity to step up its counteroffensive and boost the morale of its troops, grappling with uncertain battles on the front lines. The fact that some Wagner troops will be brought under Russian military command starting from the 1st of July could shake up the structure of the organization. And this brings us to the present. Wagner chief begins exile in Belarus days after the mutiny. Much remains unclear as to what will happen to Prigozhin's grip on Wagner and the Ukraine war.
Some of them will retire, some of them will go to the African operations of Wagner, and some of them will go home. So the Wagner Group will cease to be a unified 50,000-man strong group. It will be largely dissolved into Russian regular army units.
While tensions have continued between the Wagner lead and Russian military brass for a while now, the latest incident clearly seems to have hit a new low, with Prigozhin turning against his longtime backers.